The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
Welcome back to another episode of the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. This is Dave, your host and author. It is beer festival time once again, and so let's start doing some. And we're going to start off with Champions Beerfest, which I understand was some weeks ago, but it's still important for me to talk about this worthwhile organization and a very worthwhile cause that is very important to myself and a lot of other people. But let's go ahead and backtrack just a little bit. This is the first time Champions Beerfest has been able to be put on since COVID. And if you remember, well before COVID, we spoke to some of the people at Champions Beerfest, specifically Jim Hammett, who runs the Beer Fest. And the reason, let's go ahead and pop this. You'll hear about this here in a little bit, but Champions is a portion of the sales team at Carnival Cruise Lines. Each team is required to do some sort of an event so that they can raise funds and give back to the community. And the Champions team at Carnival has chosen a beer festival, which makes me very happy. On that episode was the MC at the 2019, I do believe, event, Virginia Sinicki from the KVJ show on 97.9 WRMF, which is a good friend of the show. I've been on their stuff. They've been on mine. It's all really awesome. So the beer festival is back at the Big Easy Casino in Hallandale Beach. Long ago, it was known as the Mardi Gras Casino, but it has maintained its New Orleans ambiance, but changed and upgraded quite a bit. And they actually gave the beer festival a very large portion of a very large parking lot for the beer festival itself. Most of it was shaded, which is awesome, and plenty of parking to be had, which was fantastic. So let's talk about who was there and who we were able to speak to. You're going to be hearing some voices very similar to the show. Jim Hammett is going to be the first one up from Champions Beerfest, and Virginia Sinicki was there emceeing again, so you'll hear from them. And you'll hear a little bit about the beer festival itself and also about Little Smiles, which is the beneficiary for Champions Beerfest. If you don't know anything about them, I do recommend that you take a look at them because they do help sick and hospital-bound children here in South Florida. And of course, we've got some products to go through. The first one that I actually spoke to, which is kind of interesting, if you've seen South Beach Brewing around, and they've got a pretty good footprint around the state of Florida. We actually spoke to the founder, Lorenzo Borghese. He is definitely an interesting person to chat with, and I cannot wait to go visit their tap room on South Beach. South Beach, actually. We also spoke to Noxx and Dunn. They are a Florida rum. They are a Florida-based rum in South Florida. And we spoke to co-founder Chris Hall about making a rum in Florida, which is a kind of a tall order since that seems to be one of the most prevalent spirits that are produced down here, and trying some very interesting spirits and cocktails that they were making live at the event with some of their friends. We spoke to Amyad, Amra, the director of sales for Two Drums, which is a rum and coconut water ready-to-drink cocktail that is actually distributed by our friends at Gulfstream. They are starting to become prevalent in the South Florida region with a very interesting sparkling alcoholic beverage that was absolutely fantastic to try on a hot, late summer day here in the state of Florida. enjoy. There's a lot of stuff going on at Champions Beerfest. Some people that I've had on the podcast before, it was great to sit and connect and chat with 3 daughters because they were there with their ready-to-drink retro pop cocktails, which, of course, I absolutely adore because you want a great vodka soda. That's them. Funky Buddha was there. A bunch of other people were there. It was a great time. It was a very chill, nice event with a lot of fantastic stuff from around the state of Florida. But enough of me talking. Let's get into it. Champions Beerfest. Enjoy.
And this is Jim with Champions Beerfest. Okay, so how is it doing Champions Beerfest again after basically 5 years? After 5 years not having been able to do the event?
We're excited to be back. We're excited to be at the Borghese Casino. So it's really great, raising a lot of money for the charity. We got a lot of support from the local breweries, which is great. Always support the local breweries because they support us.
That's amazing. And with Little Smiles, I guess, go ahead and remind us, how did you get involved with this particular charity? Because I know that you had to choose one as part of the directive. Can you give us a little idea, and then how you came upon Little Smiles in particular?
So what I really love about Little Smiles is they have very little overhead, very few paid employees. Most are all volunteers. So money that I work hard on to do this event actually goes to the charity, not to administrative costs.
That's awesome. And when you sort of mentioned the fact that we have this amazing beneficiary, how difficult was it to get the people that are here to kind of volunteer their time and their product and their space to the beer fest?
Sure. So our volunteers are all Carnival Cruise Line employees, which donates our time for the event. We reach out to all of our local breweries. The local breweries love to come out and support the local events because they know it's such a worthwhile charity.
Awesome. Are there any brands here that you were excited to bring in that you want to try once things calm down a little bit?
So I was really excited that we have Gulfstream Distillery. They have vodka and gin. Then they also have the other strand. We have a brand new one this year. It's Florida True. It's a Florida True Rum, which is right here. So those are brand new, great products. And we have a moonshine cocktail company all the way from Alabama. So we're really excited about that.
Awesome. That's great. And obviously, do you think you're going to get ready for the 2025 one?
I am schmoozing as much as I can today to make sure we get them back next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So as we spoke to Jim, obviously the big portion of this event is the fact that Little Smiles is the main beneficiary. Can you give us just a rundown of not only the beneficiary, but how you got involved with them?
So I've been involved with Little Smiles for, 25 years now. KBJ is turning 25. Little Smiles is turning 25. It's kind of crazy, but we grew up together, which is weird, but I certainly don't feel like I've grown up. And the great thing about Little Smiles is nobody there is mature either. You know, we really do focus on doing fun, amazing events to raise money to help kids in hospitals and hospices and shelters and kids going through traumatic events. It doesn't matter what put a kid in that unfortunate circumstance where they are in a hospital or a hospice or a shelter or displaced or homeless or abused, or it doesn't matter what it is. So whatever that circumstance is, Little Smiles can swoop in and give them, even if just for that day, a little something to smile about through anything like basic as candy, but as big as trips to Disney. We do computers, we do iPads, we do wardrobes, we do room makeovers, we do back to school clothes. Whatever these families need, we try to swoop in and cover the costs for the parents that are so stressed.
Now, for the event itself, the actual beer fest, how are you enjoying this year's iteration?
I love it. I love the fact that half of it is covered. I'm so sweet and sugar melts, so I can't be in the sun too long.
Now, the other thing that I thought was interesting is that obviously it is a beer fest, but there's a lot of not beer here. How are you enjoying that? Because I don't know if you're as big a beer drinker as you are a cocktail, mixed drink, and so on.
I love it. I already spent so much money. I bought lotions and knitted products and like handmade goods. Like, it's awesome. I love the fact that this is not just about beer. It's also spirits and delicious like rums and moonshine and all kinds of fun stuff, and shopping, candles, soaps, artwork. Yeah, it's awesome. Jim is the best. He puts together a great festival every year, and I'm so sad that COVID stopped him, but he's back, baby. COVID can't stop Jim.
Awesome. I'll let you get back to sampling some things. What have you enjoyed what you've sampled so far at the event?
Oh my gosh, I have loved everything. Like, the seltzers you had me try were so good.
The Retro Chill from Three Daughters.
So great. I also just had a key lime sour from Cove Brewery. That was amazing. Get Stranded, the Bones.
That is Two Drums, which is a coconut water rum collaboration. And I know that you were chatting with Gulfstream Distillery as well.
I mean, it's like a health drink. So you don't even feel like a bad alcoholic. When you're drinking it, you're like, okay, it's like coconut water. I'm good. It's a salad.
That's amazing. I'll let you get back to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
So I've seen South Beach Brewing. You've been around the scene for years and years and years. What was the impetus of this? Because it's a little different than just your average let's make a beer sort of brewery.
Well, I'm a consumer, and I go out to like dinner almost every night. And the first thing I do is I look at the beer taps. And obviously, you know, a lot of people believe it's a commodity product because anyone can make beer, but I thought something was missing. And I figured out what it was when I was driving home one day, and it was an orange on this Florida license plate. It's like, you know, Florida's known as like the citrus capital of the United States. Why aren't there more beers with orange in their product? And then when I was in South Beach is the home of the brunch parties. I was like, you know what? No one's really targeted the brunch party scene. And that's when I developed the Strawberry Orange Mimosa brunch beer, which has Florida orange juice. And then I did another brunch beer called the South Beach Bellini with 100% natural peach juice. And then we have our flagship IPA because as a craft brewery, you know, you need an IPA in the mix. And I developed that beer too. And we have a guava haze that we just came out, a Hefeweizen guava haze, brand new. And then we have a blonde ale coming out soon. Just a non-flavored beer.
That's awesome. Is it difficult to get the word out about South Beach? You know, since South Beach and Miami Beach and realistically almost all of Miami-Dade County is not traditionally seen as a craft beer location as much as it is the mixed drinks.
Yeah, I didn't hear the whole thing but I think your question is like, is it a different scene in South Beach?
The scene is, I would say, not just South Beach, but Miami Beach as whole isn't necessarily a craft beer mecca. I mean, yes, you've got the Abbey that's been there for years and years and years, but that's not really the alcoholic beverage of choice when you think of Miami Beach. Has it been a hard sell because of that?
That's a great question because it has been a hard sell. And, you know, you walk down Ocean Drive and there's Jell-O shots and the huge cocktails with the big straws. And we're not that type of place where if you like beer, wine, and good food, that's what we are. And we're also a block away from Ocean Drive, which is the tourist area. So we've had trouble getting the locals to come by, but the tourists do love it and they want something from Florida, and I believe as Florida as you get. So it's there's a positive side because you do get tourists, and because the city's not known for craft beer, and we're really the only ones there. You get a lot of people that look at their phones on Google and look for a craft beer place, and you find South Beach Brewing.
Awesome. And with the products, with the actual beer that you have, you've always had sort of a look at what else it is. It's not just ABV, it's not just the ingredients, but you've also let's look at the whole picture. Has that always been a focus of yours from the very start?
Yeah, I think that you've got to appeal to a lot of different people. You know, like I go to a lot of these beer festivals, and some people like the IPAs. They love it, right? Then you give them something like a strawberry orange mimosa, which is a lighter beer that's got a lot of fruit in it, and they don't like it. They don't like beers with fruits in it. So I try to appeal to everyone, and that's why I'm coming out with a blonde ale as well, something that doesn't have fruit in it. But again, we're in a really tough industry because there's a lot of brands out there, and there's a lot of really good brands. And we just try to be what we are, which is South Beach. What South Beach is known for, their brunch parties, people having a good time and a vacation. And that's why we also trademarked I Love Right Now. So when you drink our beer, it reminds you to enjoy the moment because you're mentally on vacation.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the interview. Appreciate it.
All right. So I've got your information. I guess to start off with, how did the story of Noxx and Dunn really get started? How did you decide, let's make a rum based solely here in the state of Florida?
Well, we all come from rum backgrounds. Like our company, the founders of our company are all former Appleton rum people. And the gentleman in charge of our blend, Michael Delavante, he's 85 years old. And along with him, we've been working with a distillery here in Florida for 50 years. He built stills there in the 70s. So we knew that Florida rum in Florida is high quality because we used to use it in Appleton. So we got an opportunity a few years ago to do it ourselves and bring Florida rum to the world. So that's how it all started.
If somebody were to ask, what the difference is between just a Florida rum and some of the standard big budget, big ticket sort of rums that you can find on any shelf anywhere are, what would you tell them?
Well, the difference is this is 100% made in Florida, from Florida ingredients. So nobody is really doing that I'm aware of. Secondly, we take rum that's aged between 2 and 5 years. We blend it to 86 proof. We filter it several times, and then we bottle it. That's it. So we don't add any colors. There's no stabilizers. Most importantly, there's no sugar, so we don't sweeten the spirit. Many, if not all, big rums have a secret. Our secret is there's no secret. I just told you how to make Noxx and Dunn Florida rum.
Interesting. And so there's no artificial flavorings, because obviously, not just rum is out there, but you got the spiced rum, you got the coconut rum, you got this, that, and the other thing. And that's never really been what Noxx and Dunn has wanted to do, has it?
Yeah. A rum of high quality can stand on its own without the secret, without the additives. You can put 10% of anything into rum and still call it rum. And a lot of the typical things are burnt sugar, molasses, they'll put it back in, neutral grain spirit, which is a big thing. That's where you get a burn. It's not even rum, it's Everclear, essentially.
They literally put Everclear into rum or other additives? Probably
paraphrasing, but, a lot of producers will use a neutral grain spirit. So, a grain spirit, and they'll mix it with a spirit from molasses to stretch the inventory, to proof it up or something like that. I mean, I'm not the science guy, but these are sort of the generalities of making rum. There's also prune juice, wine, and then most importantly, what we don't do with all those other folks is we don't add any pirates or sea monsters. It's just Florida, 100% Florida. We look inside of the state rather than out into the ocean.
And do you think that the fact that it's very obvious that it's made in Florida and it's something that you're very proud of, is that something that will bring the people in, even if they are used to and have their own sort of brand of externally produced rums?
Yeah, I mean, I think every brand has a story, right? And there's a reason why people pick those brands. Our story is Florida. There's a lot of America has been sort of defined by Florida, and we use and show a lot of and so we're promoting what a great place this is. We can make a high quality spirit, something we all can be proud of, and something the rest of the country or the rest of the world can look down to. Well, our big dream is, look, 20 years ago you wouldn't have been talking about Texas vodka. So we feel like we can be Tito's of American rum.
That's awesome. And what I find interesting about today is you have mixed drinks. You have one mixed drink that's made. You have another one that you can make, but you're having everybody taste the rum on its own first. Why is that?
Well, that's how we do our samplings all the time. So, we'll sample because there's an inherent, if you don't love rum, you don't love rum, right? Like you either love it or you don't. There's no and so you get with that, you get some of that baggage. Somebody goes, well, I'm not really a rum person. It's like, well, try this, and then 9 times out of 10, they're like, wow, that's not what I expected, because it's much drier. So we want them to try the spirit, and then we want to show them how versatile it is. So, you can make an old-fashioned, which we have. So we pre-mix the old-fashioned, so we're not, and we pour that out. Or we make what we call Florida ranch water, which is to get people to stop drinking tequila. Because back to the Florida thing, ranching and cowboys and farming and and cattle, it started here in Florida. All that cowboy stuff, that started here. And so Texas ranch water has become a bit of a thing, especially in these pre-mixed like canned cocktails. So people are familiar with it, and we give them our take. So theirs is, it's tequila, lime juice, and like Topo Chico soda water. Ours is Noxx and Dunn, Nelly and Joe's Key West lime juice, and Fresca.
It sounds very refreshing, actually.
And that's the point. So you try the spirit on its own. You can drink it on the rocks. You try it in a kind of a classic sort of, I'll say, fancy cocktail in the old-fashioned. And then it's a super refreshing boat drink and everything in between.
That's awesome. Can I try some?
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.
So I guess first thing, name and title.
Hello, yeah, my name is Amjad Amra. I'm the director of sales for Two Drums.
Perfect. And with Two Drums, this is a little different from any other RTD that I've seen, not just here today, but on the market, because it's not just the spirit that's a major part of it, but it's also the other part of it. So can you, I guess, define what Two Drums is when you crack open a can?
All right, so the difference between us and other hard seltzer is, one is real coconut water, so you get the electrolytes in it. So you're kind of hydrating yourself while drinking alcohol, right? And then the other thing is we're locally and we lightly carbonate it.
And as that carbonation is very interesting. I've never had a coconut water and carbonation sort of combination before.
Correct, yeah. So having that light carbonation, you can drink more because it doesn't make you feel bloated, right? Because that was my problem with the other hard seltzer. And just to tell you a little bit about us, Two Drums, it's founded by two cousins. Their last name is Drum. They were in the Bahamas. That's how they started. They were in the Bahamas during COVID, and they got stranded. And they were drinking rum, and then there was, of course, coconut trees all over the island. So they picked up some coconuts, made their drink, their art, and they came up with this idea.
That's amazing.
Just to tell you about us, so next week we're launching our new flavors. Right now we only have the coconut water original one, that it's just coconut water, rum, and lime. And then as of next week, we're launching our new Florida orange with a little bit of mango, and then we have our Maui pineapple.
That's awesome. And I guess were those just sort of natural next steps to take Two Drums, or were people asking for that specifically?
So we did a contest, or had on Instagram. We asked a lot of people, and those were the top flavors that people wanted to see us doing. So yeah, we usually keep our brand very connected with the public and see what their reaction is, and that's the flavors that people kind of wanted to see us. So we got to support our clientele.
And that's a great segue to the last question. Is we've been through Champions Beerfest a few hours now. How has the reception been from everybody that you've been sampling Two Drums for?
So as of now, everybody loved it. Yeah, everybody keeps saying it's so good. It's hydrating. Especially with Florida weather, I think this is the perfect drink right now because everybody needs to be hydrated, right?
It's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
All right, so that's Champions Beerfest. I am looking forward to the 2025 edition. Hopefully they will be back at the Big Easy Casino. It was a fantastic location for an event like that. Coming up on our next episode of the Florida Beer Podcast, we do have another beer festival coming up. And if you know anything about me, you know which festival this is, because this is the one that I look forward to every single year. In the meantime, if you want to listen to us and find out when those episodes release, best thing for you to do is to follow us on social media. We are at Florida Beer Blog on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and X for the time being. Seems like everybody's leaving X at this point. Facebook, we're still FL Beer Blog. Not totally sure why. You can follow us on the internet at floridabeerblog.com and floridabeerpodcast.com. You can reach out to us at floridabeerblog@gmail.com. And you can also like us and subscribe to us on the podcasting app of your choice. We are on Apple Music. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube. We are on Amazon Podcasts. Any podcasting app you can think of, we are probably going to be there. We are also a proud member of the Florida Podcast Network, a collection of amazing Florida-based podcasts for your listening pleasure, and you can find more about them at floridapodcastnetwork.com. Our intro announcer is Jeff Brozovich. Field producer Steve Piccola. Executive producer for the Florida Podcast Network in Grand High Poobah is Jimmy Lagagna. This is David Butler, your host and author. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Make sure to drink Florida Craft.